There comes a point when a man has been single long enough that even the thought of a relationship sounds exhausting. Because a woman is no longer competing for his time and attention, she's competing with his peace. And that's a much harder competition to win. Because somewhere along the way, this man figured out something he may not have even realized he was learning. He learned how to love being alone. He learned that his autonomy is freedom. He learned how to come home to a quiet house and actually enjoy it. He learned how to love his Saturdays without having to explain where he's going, what he's doing, when he'll be back, or why he doesn't feel like doing anything at all. His money goes where he decides it goes. His time belongs to him. His house feels like his house. If he wants to spend 3 hours working on whatever the hell he wants to, he does it. If he wants to take off for the weekend, he goes. If he wants to sit on his couch and watch absolutely nothing of importance for hours, he needs permission from no one. And after enough time living that way, something changes. Freedom stops feeling like a luxury, and it starts feeling exactly the way life should be. That's when the thought of dating loses its appeal, because now a relationship isn't being compared to loneliness. It's being compared to a life he already loves, living his life on his terms. And I think that's something a lot of people misunderstand about single men, especially men who've been single for a long time. They assume he must be so lonely, or he must be looking for a woman. And maybe he is. But looking for a woman and needing a woman are two completely different things. A man who's learned how to live authentically and fully by himself isn't sitting around waiting for a woman to complete his life. His life is already happening without anyone's approval. So now, whether he says it out loud or not, he's asking a very different question when he meets a woman. He doesn't ask, "Do I like her?" Of course he can like her. He doesn't ask, "Am I attracted to her?" That's the easy part. The real question becomes, is my life actually better with her in it? What of value is she adding to my life? That's a much higher bar. And I don't mean better because she's beautiful, better because the sex is good, better because he's excited for the first 3 months. I mean better on an ordinary Tuesday. Better when there's nothing exciting happening. Better when they're tired. Better when they disagree. Better when real life shows up. Because that's the part he's comparing to, the life he's already built. Enjoying his peace, freedom, and autonomy. And once a man knows what peace feels like, he starts noticing very quickly what disrupts it. Things he might have tolerated when he was younger suddenly feel exhausting. Constant conflict, jealousy, having to account for every hour of his day. A woman getting angry because he wants time to himself. Walking into a room and immediately having to figure out what mood she's in. Arguments that never get resolved. Drama and chaos that exist for no reason at all. He's done it before. He knows what it costs, and now he knows what life feels like without it. That's why you see some men get out of a bad marriage or a long relationship, and everybody assumes that eventually they'll want to settle down again. And 10 years later, the guy is still single. Maybe he's not damaged. Maybe he didn't fail to find anybody. Maybe he discovered that he actually loves his peace and freedom. But here's where I think men need to be careful, because there's another side to this that men don't talk about enough. Peace can become a hiding place. There's a difference between having standards and becoming so protective of your independence that another human being couldn't possibly fit into your life. And that's the line a man needs to be able to recognize in himself, because even a good relationship will become an inconvenience at times. It just is. No matter what, a man will never have the autonomy he has being single when he gets into any relationship, because another person has needs and wants, and compromises will always need to be made. The question becomes, is this woman worth those compromises? Does she bring more value to my life being with her than without her? If the answer is yes, and you truly want a life with a woman, then that's a decision only you can make. Be very careful though. If your definition of peace becomes nobody can ever require anything from me, that's not really peace anymore. That's isolation with a nicer name. This is where I think some men get confused. They've gotten so good at controlling their environment that they start treating every compromise like a loss of freedom. She wants to see him Saturday, and he thinks, there goes my Saturday. She wants him to call when he's running late, and he thinks, I shouldn't have to answer to anybody. She wants more time together, and suddenly he feels smothered. Now maybe she really is a big pain in the ass. Maybe she really is trying to control him. But maybe she isn't. Maybe he's forgotten that a relationship does cost something. Anything valuable does. The question isn't whether a relationship costs you some freedom. Of course it does. The question is what you're getting in return. That's the calculation I think a man needs to make honestly. Does this woman bring something into your life that makes the compromises worth making? Does she make home better? Can you trust her? Can you laugh together? Can you tell her something you're struggling with without having it thrown back at you 6 months later? Does she respect the fact that you're an individual person and not an extension of her? Can you disagree without every disagreement becoming a war? Does she support the things that matter to you even when they don't involve her? And maybe, most importantly, can you still recognize yourself when you're with her? Because that's where a lot of men lose the plot. A healthy relationship should never require a man to hand over the keys to his entire life. You should never have to abandon your friends. You should never have to stop doing the things that make you feel alive. You should never need permission to have interests of your own. You should never have to give up your autonomy so that a woman feels secure. But you also can't expect to live exactly like a single man while enjoying everything that comes with having a healthy relationship. Both of those extremes fail. And the man who's been single for a long time actually has an advantage here if he's paying attention. He knows himself better. He knows what his life feels like when nobody else is influencing it. He knows which routines actually matter and work for him. He knows what he's willing to compromise on and what he won't tolerate. That means he doesn't have to throw his entire life at the first woman who makes him feel that little tingle. He can slow down. He can watch. And I mean really watch. Not just how she treats him when everything is new and exciting. Watch what happens the first time he says no. Watch what happens when he wants an evening to himself. Watch how she handles disappointment. Watch how she talks about people when she's angry. Watch whether she respects his time. Watch whether the relationship gradually improves his life or slowly starts consuming it and destroying it. Because those things will tell you far more about what your future will look like with her than chemistry ever will. Chemistry can get a man through the door. It can't tell him eventually whether he'll hate living inside the house. And if you're a man who's been single for years and you've built a life you genuinely enjoy, savor it, enjoy it, and love it. You have nothing to prove to anyone but yourself. Be careful if you decide to start dating again. You worked for your peace. You learned how to stand on your own. Don't hand it away because the first woman showed up and you're afraid this might be your last chance. It won't be. Be selective. Be the man that knows no woman is worth losing yourself. No woman is worth losing your peace and autonomy over. The goal isn't to build a life nobody can enter. The goal is to become good enough at choosing the woman that adds to your life and your peace. The right relationship can be really beautiful. The wrong relationship can be your living hell. So if you've been single for a long time and dating feels harder now, there's nothing wrong with you. Your standards changed because your baseline changed. You know what your time is worth now. You know what freedom feels like. You know what a quiet house feels like. You know you can survive without a woman beside you, and that's a wonderful thing, because that means you can finally choose a woman for the right reasons. Not because you're lonely, not because everyone else thinks you should, and not because you're desperate. Choose her because her presence creates a life you love more. Because once a man has learned to love his own company, once he knows what freedom feels like, once he's built a life that doesn't require a woman to make it whole, being alone is no longer what he's afraid of. Choosing the wrong woman is. And that's why dating gets harder the longer a man is single. He's no longer looking for a woman to fill an empty space. He's deciding whether she's worth making that space for.